Welcome, Gemini, to your monthly horoscope for August for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap the bell notification symbol. You can also chat with me directly on Twitter. I answer every question at Horoscope Ace. Or please join Elisa and I for the daily video show, the daily astrology and tarot video show, which we've been producing for about 7 or 8 weeks now. It's proving great fun and really popular, and you can grab your free written daily horoscope every day, as well as hear me give you the dominant influences for the astrology for the day, and Elisa gives a more spiritual dimension. It's only quick, but it just gives you that kind of signposting for each day. Now, as we begin this month, Mars, the planet of passion, has moved into the sign of Aries, which for you is very much about the future. And it's also about friendships. But of course, Venus has been in your sign since the 4th of April, and that is going to be relocating this month, and that's going to be very good news for your finances. Also, your ruler Mercury is going to be moving out of the rather confusing transit that it's gone through for 10 weeks in the sign of Cancer and switches into the radiant sign of Leo, which is where the Sun is as this month and the story begins. Now, the Sun in Leo is as good as it gets because the Sun guides the sign of Leo. But we do have a full moon which occurs pretty early on this month, on the 3rd, in the air sign of Aquarius, which of course is a sister air sign like yours. Now, if you think back to early February, we had the reverse. We had the full moon occurred in the sign of Leo, and that also activated the energy of Uranus, and that's going to happen again on this particular full moon. So what does this mean for you? Well, this full moon is very much to do with energy, quick thoughts, and maybe there are going to be some desire on your part to change something that's been the status quo for some while, or there may be a restlessness around you that's coming from the energy of Uranus. What I would say to you is over the following 2 weeks, don't be too impulsive, because Uranus could push you to change something just because you feel you should, and because of the power of Mars this month and the angles that it forges quite challengingly with both with Jupiter, Pluto, and then with Saturn. I think you just need to be conscious that when it comes to your resources, when it comes to finance, that however bold your vision is for the future, it has to work out in a practical step-by-step way. So though Venus can bring in better fortune as far as your finances are concerned from the 7th, this is probably not the best of months to make grand gestures or to get overconfident about where things are. And the reason for that is that in the first 10 days of this month, Mars and Jupiter are in a right angle. Now, this is not one of the worst squares to have. It just gives us a lot of push to make changes. And because Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn, Saturn's back in this area, are in your 8th solar house, which is about longer term resources, and Mars is in a part of your horoscope which is more idealistic, but of course Mars is about action. If you try a bit too hard to force the pace, to sort out perhaps the impact of COVID in terms of your business, your employment, your financial situation, it could be a bit counterproductive. So it's good to be single-minded, it's good to be bold, but not to the point of recklessness, which can happen with Mars and Jupiter in a right angle. Now, the movement of your ruler, Mercury, into Leo on the 5th is something I really think you should celebrate. The long transit it's gone through the sign of Cancer is not at its best. It's bogged down. And if you have felt a bit confused or you've been waiting for money to come in, especially when Mercury was in retrograde, it would hardly be a surprise. So we are going to see a speeding up, and your personal situation is definitely helped by the fact that you still have the North Node. that nominal point, which is to do with the societal direction of travel, which is about and the kind of speeding up of communications. People are being held more to account for the communications. So if we have certain hate speech, for example, that's being fronted up. So Gemini is very much about communication. So that's where you can also prosper this month because of that Leo energy. But Venus moving into the sign of Cancer can also give you a real desire to enjoy the good things in life. Why not? Especially if there has been an absence of socialising due to the lockdown wherever you may be. But Venus in this sector can also see us love the calorific goodies so much that we actually pile on the pounds a little bit. But I do think some money can come in that you've been waiting for, and that can be very welcome. Also, from the 11th through to the 21st, the Sun forges an absolutely cracking link with Mars. So as much as Mars may get into a tangle with Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn, it doesn't tangle with the Sun. They're collaborating superbly. So Mars is in your sector of the future. The Sun's in your sector of everyday thoughts, your neighbourhood, the speed of your actions, and also being more physically active. So you could find yourself wanting to be a lot sportier from the 11th through to the 21st, or articulating your ideas to a wider audience. This can be quite sociable. So let's hope where, pardon me, where you are, you can link up with others. Now Uranus does go into a retrograde on the 15th, and so that kind of restlessness that's been hard to pinpoint, that's really been happening for you since the middle of May 2018, and then again since March 2019, that can still be a factor. It's 10 degrees in Taurus. It's going to retrace its steps. It depends on the critical points you have in your natal horoscope, how this will affect you absolutely personally. But I think in general, it's asking you to think more about your need for independence and freedom, particularly if you have it, but it keeps you locked away in some kind of solitude if you're actually yearning for something deeper in terms of a connection. So Uranus gives us independence, but it can come at a cost in the 12th house. Now the 19th sees a tremendous new moon, and that new moon does take in the energy of Mars. So this provides a backdrop for 4 weeks into the first kind of 2 weeks and more of August, of the first 2 weeks of September. So this is tremendous. And we also have the move of Mercury on the 20th into the sign of Virgo, which it rules. So it's very happy here. This is all about details, but for you, it's about home. And also the Sun moves there on the 22nd. You could make some fundamental changes to how you live at your home, or who with, or how, or start a home-based business as this month draws to a close. But it is true to say that in the last 2 weeks, Saturn is clashing with Mars, and from the 5th through to the 22nd, it's Pluto's turn to clash with Mars. You may encounter somebody who's got a kind of might is right attitude to money, especially if you are a more idealistic kind of Gemini. If you are negotiating about something, and it is anything to do with contracts, don't be browbeaten into accepting something that's not really fundamentally fair, because Mars is in the part of your scope that is to do with kind of being fair and reasonable, and so do stand up for that. But Mercury does forge a very positive angle at the end of this month with Jupiter and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. So something can alter around a property matter, which can actually be very positive. But as the month comes to a close, Venus is in opposition with Pluto. Do you know, this could bring someone into your orbit who you find absolutely irresistible, and your pulse could really race. Now, if this happens for you and it feels right, I will be absolutely delighted for you. But just be aware that when Pluto's in the mix with Venus, there can often be some kind of catch, or somebody is kind of leveraging their attraction or their desire to pull something to us. So, for example, buy an expensive gift or a gesture which seems to be absolutely out of this world. So if someone seems better than is possible, they probably aren't. But at the same time, something really quite captivating can happen as well. I think you could be drawn to a much more sensual experience, whatever your particular romantic status at the moment, as this month draws to a close. So you can see there's a lot of action this month with Mars in your 11th house, the Sun and Mercury from the 5th in the sign of Leo, but then it does change over into much more precise and grounded energy as there is the Sun and Mercury in Virgo. So some real contrast there this month, but wishing you all the best. And if you'd like to ascend above your zodiac sign, Gemini, check out my affordable range of astrology reports, and you can get your 12-month forecast and your character analysis and get 30% off, or you can choose to connect with me personally. Please check out my testimonials below, or please look to become one of my coffee Patreons. So how this works is just pay $3 a month to become the lowest level patron, and you'll be entered into a prize draw to have a free half-an-hour live reading with me. Check out the link beneath this video. But for now, good luck, take care, and stay safe.